Hey guys, it's your girl Paige and welcome back to my channel, Hauntingly Vintage. I am so glad to be back for a little bit. Life has just been really crazy, so I'm going to try to do better for you guys, especially within the next upcoming months. And I just really am so grateful for the 9 subscribers I've got so far. We are making our way on this channel and I'm just very thankful for you guys that tune in and watch, these videos. It really means a lot to me. I really enjoy doing this. It's kind of just a hobby for me, but I mean, I do like learning about the places that I talk about. I do, of course, always want to go to these places eventually if I've never been. So it is definitely something that I just look forward to, and I just hope that you get the best out of it and wishes with the knowledge that I'm able to find on these various places. But again, I am back. It's kind of crazy trying to video and work a full-time job and then also have another side job. So finding time to do videos and look for research, it's kind of been pushed on the back burner for right now, but I am back and I'm just forever grateful to have you guys watching and following and just really in tune with what I like to do. So of course I've got another video for you guys finally. I posted a reel on my Instagram page, so I hope you kind of already have seen that, and if you haven't, you need to go check it out. But definitely by the title of it, y'all already know what I'm talking about. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. As I stated, this place is obviously already in the title, but if you hadn't checked out my reel, if you did, then you know that I've actually been to this location and it was super cool, super fun, very spooky. Wouldn't recommend walking around by yourself, but and if you haven't seen the reel, go check it out on my Instagram. Give me a follow on there because I do tend to make reels of the videos I'm about to post, so you already kind of get a little insight of what's the next video without me telling you what the next video is. And sometimes I don't, and sometimes I just put up what we're going to be viewing this week. But this location, I got the pleasure of going last November. I know it's been a while, you guys, but I got to go and investigate last November at this location, and with, once again, haunted nights. Got to go with the boys and super fun. Rung in my birthday with the ghost, and it will be a birthday to remember. So I really hope you like this location, but without further ado, we are going to be talking about Indiana State Sanatorium, located in Rockville, Indiana. If you hadn't guessed by now, you probably should and probably should have, but I do have a kind of a thing for asylums and hospitals, places that have seen just a lot of trauma and sadness that kind of correlated with what I used to want to be. Well, here I am about 2 years later, and now I go to abandoned buildings and I talk to the dead residents, and it's kind of weird to get in this, but definitely opened a lot of doors for me, and I'm just forever grateful for these opportunities that I get to come across and get to do. It truly has opened a lot of things for me, and I just never thought I would be talking about the paranormal. So Indiana State Sanatorium was built in 1908 and was Indiana's main tuberculosis hospital. During tuberculosis, they needed somewhere, obviously. Each state kind of had a designated place to put all the tuberculosis patients, and so this was their prime location. It was a community in itself. It sits on about 200 acres, and so definitely was able to be a fully functioning community, kind of like Waverly Hills. Once you go in, you really didn't get to go out. Whether you were doctor, nurse, staff, anything like that, you pretty much lived there until there was a cure for tuberculosis, or until you ended up getting tuberculosis and either lived or passed with all of the other patients that were there. So the TB hospital part of the sanatorium did close in 1968 and didn't reopen until 1976, it was then turned into a nursing home for the state. What was really cool about my trip is that I got to meet one of the owners of Indiana State Sanatorium, that is the owner today. He's part owner, and he was telling us that when it shut down from the tuberculosis hospital, they were wanting to turn it into a nursing home because the state's was closing. So they thought, you know, this is a brilliant idea. We could get, you know, make money with this facility. It's fully functioning, so why not do that? Before the nursing home even opened, they had about 100 staff members, and they were in preparation to start bringing in residents to this facility when the state turned around and thought to themselves like, oh, well, we can still make money with our nursing home, so we're going to go ahead and keep that one open, and you can't open yours. So the owners at the time didn't know what to do with the facility that they had. Those owners had caught word of this. They were kind of scrambled trying to think of what we could do with this facility, and these residents that are coming in alongside, you know, since the state's already keeping theirs open as well. So lo and behold, the state's psychiatric hospital, the mental institute, was actually, they shut that one down. And so the two owners at the time geniusly thought of, oh, well, we'll cut the building in half, and this part could be the nursing home, this part could be the insane asylum, mental institute, whatever you would like to call it, psychiatric unit. So at one point you did have a nursing home and mentally hospitalized patients living in one pretty much building. It is all one connected building, but there are different ways you can get to one end to the other. So yeah, that was kind of interesting to know at a time that they had those residents and then the other residents like somewhat living together, just never interacted together. Unfortunately, what makes this location so notorious for its hauntings and just the residents and just the overall history of the location is that it closed its doors officially in 2011. So, I mean, honestly, that wasn't that long ago. And so most of the buildings that you really come across, it's been probably 40, 50 years. I mean, or 100 years ago, you know, like there's been a lot of time passed. I mean, I'm not good at math, but you do the math. We're in 2024 and it shut down in 2011. So that's like 13 years, 14 years. I told you, I'm not good at math. I can't do it in my head. Could have done it before this, but you know, it's insane to me because it abruptly shut down by the state, ultimately because of just the harsh conditions they had their patients and those residents. It wasn't anything to do with funding. I mean, well, take that back. There was a little bit of funding that was an issue. They were pretty much going broke. I mean, the now owner, one of the owners, did tell us they pretty much had no state funding. They had about $11 per resident for, I think, a day, a week. I'm not too for sure. Can't fully remember, but that's not enough to get by for one resident, especially for, you know, and also on top of just paying for your staff, taking care of these people. But since it shut down so abruptly in 2011, I mean, they came out, they did their inspections, within like 2 days later, they were shut down. And then they just, I mean, there are so many personal items and beds and cabinets and drawers and clothes and pictures, just personal records are still just everywhere. I mean, you can walk into a room and you will find somebody's clothes at one point. They were somebody's clothes at one point. And pretty much they just packed a suitcase and gave them a ticket, put them on a bus, and sent them on their way unless they had somewhere else to go. And before I get into that, because that to me is so wild, that I have a little bit more in detail, but I'll come back to that part. But just, that's what makes it so, I wouldn't say truly haunted, but it does have the parts to it, because I mean, once you pass, like they always say that you have just a physical connection with your belongings. And so I feel like in that time for those people, if somebody was in that nursing home with dementia or some type of sickness and you were bedbound, or you just couldn't remember anything, but you had that one specific or two items that you just would jog your memory. I mean, why would you not come back to those items? I mean, I personally wouldn't want to stay there, don't get me wrong, but if that was your last home, then why else? I mean, where else would you go if you don't believe in anything else? Then why not go back to the only thing you knew before you were pretty much abandoned by, whether it was your family or not, or I mean just the state, I mean just the facility itself, before you were just let go. I kind of jumped the gun on some of the reasons why the hospital shut down, but as I stated before, many of the reasons were just the treatment of the residents. They were being abused in hindsight, whether they were just being bedbound or they just were emaciated and just laying there and not being taken care of. No telling what other abuse could have been going on, but besides that, there were numerous deaths that were on record. There's a creek on that property that unfortunately they did find a resident in the creek. They had unfortunately drowned it. And then there was another that somebody had gotten on top of the roof, and he didn't actually pass on impact, but later in the hospital he ended up dying of his injuries. As I stated a little bit ago, that the state just completely started cutting the funding to this facility, whether they did it intentionally, whether they were actually going broke or bankruptcy, whichever. I highly doubt it was an accident, I should say. I fully think they just wanted to get this facility shut down, and they didn't know how else to do it. So they, as I stated, I think I said it was probably about $11 per patient a day, but in reality I think it was less than that, maybe about anywhere. I feel like it was anywhere. I think the owner said like $5 to $10 a day per resident to live off of. And yes, it was back in the 70s, but here we are, we're getting into the 2000s. Nobody at that time could live off of $5 a day. I mean, you really had to crunch your numbers just to make ends meet, if you were even working and that was your income. It was so wild to me, and that the owner had actually kind of give us this insight while he was doing his introduction and telling us the history of Indiana State Sanatorium. He let us know that when the state shut down, it was, like I said, it was abruptly. They just literally, if you were, trying to put it in words, if you were able to have had a place to go, whether it was the nursing home or especially the mental patients who were there in the asylum part, if you had a place to go, they pretty much packed your suitcase, gave you a bus ticket, sent you to that facility. Now, here's the crazy part, and I think this was so sad. I mean, I'm getting emotional talking, like even thinking about it, but just trying to put myself in that patient's, just the way that they could have been treated, and but just being in that building, it's just an overall sadness. So it was kind of uncomfortable at some point, like it's kind of unbearable a little bit, but But anyway, so if you did not, pretty much they said if you didn't have somewhere to go, they pretty much picked who was the craziest. So if you were like top of the list, you got to get into this facility. But if you were like borderline schizophrenic or bipolar disorder, something, you know, you were just borderline crazy, and I don't mean that in a harmful term. That's just kind of how they saw those people. Yeah, and so I don't mean anybody's offense to it. Sorry, should have thought about my words. But anybody, there's just borderline with those disorders. They were just like, well, you can still function in society. So here's your suitcase, here's your bus ticket, get on that bus and go start your life. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have anywhere to go, they found you a place to go. Pretty much picked a small town, city, wherever on the map, and sent you on your way with probably little to no money to get you started at anything. And he did let us know that they had a employee that worked at one of those bus stations. She came and did a tour of the sanatorium, and she said that while she was working there, because she had worked there for a while, but she said when she was working there, she would see all these people getting off these buses, and they would just hang around for days. They would get off and they wouldn't know where to go or what to do. And it was just the crazy fact that they did that to them, and nobody ever said anything. I mean, nobody got in trouble. That was somebody's loved one at one point of their life. I mean, if they still went and visited them, you know, I mean, it's wild to me. When he told us that, I had no words. What I also found was pretty crazy about this place, as I said before, there are so many clothes and just personal items. As I said, there were records that are still there that the new owners are slowly still trying to get rid of, dispose of properly, because this has personal information. So if you do go, the Indiana State Sanatorium, they do have where you can go and do day tours or do night investigations, kind of have a little mixture of both. But they do ask, when you go to this facility, you are able to look at those records, but please do not post any pictures of the records or patient information online, in videos, anything like that, because there are some people, some of those residents, let me find my words, some of those residents, their families are still alive today, and they have came across some family members that they don't want to remember what happened. And so just out of respect for those families and respect for the dead, you are more than welcome to read up and find out who at their one point in their life lived there or resided there, and who might still be there to this day. There are so many that it's hard to really pinpoint who's there and what's not. But yeah, just out of respect, y'all, if you do go and tour it, I mean, it's such a cool place, and like I said, it is sometimes an overwhelming of sadness, and it's just out of respect for the facility, for those families. Just don't post their personal stuff. I mean, it's wrong anyway. I mean, why are you gonna do that? There's no point. But it was very cool, very interesting reading up on those people for sure, and their conditions, or if there were any fights or disagreements between the residents and staff and things like that. So, but back to what I was saying, the owners now, as I said, they're still trying to dispose of properly those records, because the owner before him, so I guess I don't know what owner number that was, when they left, they were supposed to dispose of those properly. Well, the new owner who had bought that property was an older man. He had no idea what to do with it because there was over 2,000 records just sitting in boxes, and just he couldn't do it by himself. So yes, he did get a little bit disposed of properly, but the new owners kind of, once they bought it, they kind of took it over for him, just out of the niceness that the nice people that they are. They decided to do him a favor and get those started disposed of properly, because the owners before them clearly did not have any respect to do that. So instead they just sold it and left. Getting to know this building and its history, and just the fact that it was a hospital and a nursing home and a mental institute is all in one, was just so crazy, because you just have so many mixed emotions, and you have from the trauma to the sadness to, I mean, just overwhelming abandonment. And I mean, the owners, they're doing such a great job keeping it up to date and able for investigators to go in and safely investigate, just to kind of find out. We did get a lot of good evidence, I guess, if you want to call it that. I did for the first time in that building. Definitely tons of shadow figures, especially in the nursing home, the nursing wing. Now I will say, in the mental asylum part, the mental institute, there is on the, I believe it is the 3rd or 4th floor, that it used to be an all women's floor, and every time they just, since it was all women, they do not like men on that floor. If we had any of the gentlemen up there with us trying to investigate, they would tell them to get out, or they wouldn't respond to us at all. But as soon as we would get them out and let them leave, then they would talk to us. We would get voices, we would get a little bit of just knocks and noises, a couple footsteps, just kind of overall your general stuff. So, but there is a very cool EVP that I got to save, which I will probably post it here in a minute, just to share with you guys. And definitely down in the comments, let me know what you think it says. I know what it says, or what it sounds like, and it was yeah, definitely okay, we're done here, let's get out now.
Can you tell me your name now that I'm standing in your room? Do you recognize either of us? Can you say hi or hello? Do you like that we're in your room, or do you want us to get out? 1, 2.
So but overall it was a fantastic trip. It was my first solo trip, flying by myself and doing this investigation. I met amazing people that just kind of jumped into groups because I was by myself. So definitely got me out of my comfort zone, which is great, which is what I'm trying to do. But overall, this place is really cool. Definitely, I've, for the first time ever, got to see light anomalies, or at least that's what I'm calling them. I don't really know what to call them, because we were standing in the nursing home part. You have the nurses station. There's 4 hallways that connect, and down what we called hallway 3, going into, I believe it'd be back toward the kitchen area. Well, actually the cafeteria, kitchen area. There's like an empty room where there was tables at one point, and just every so often I would catch it out of the corner of my eye, just a quick flash, kind of like someone having a flashlight, and they would be walking, and then just kind of like the coming through the hallway, just kind of like that extra reflection. There we go. And but the longer I stood there, I was like, nobody was coming around the corner, there was nothing. And thank goodness, Josie, she's somebody that I met through Haunted Nights, but Josie's boyfriend, Tim, he was standing right there, and he was like I asked him, I was like, do you see that? And he's like, yeah, I see those. I was like, I see those. I was like, they're lights, right? And I was like, he's like, yeah. So at least there was somebody else standing right next to me that could confirm what we were looking at, because yes, it did look like people were coming with flashlights, which everybody, how Haunted Nights works, they do just like a free roam style. You get the tour at the beginning, you get the tour of the facility, and then they let you go. I mean, you know, you can do whatever you'd like within that, you know, time allotted that we have. So yeah, we really were expecting like another group to like come through, and they never did. So it was very cool to see that and to really like experience that, because it was just out of air. So it's like, you know, brain thinking, trying to rationalize, but there's no way you can. Well guys, I mean, that's pretty much it that I have on this location. If you would like to check it out, I will definitely post their link down below. Like I said, they have day tours. You can do overnight investigations. They do have where I believe you can stay overnight. For this weekend that we did, it was a 2-night. I did not stay overnight there. I did get a hotel room. So maybe next time I will stay overnight with them at the location, but definitely check them out. Such a cool location. The fact that it's still so recent is just astonishing, and so that's what makes it such a big impact, and so it's why it's notorious for its location, and it's definitely getting out there. So definitely check it out before it gets like super big and you have to like wait to go and tour this place or investigate. But also thank you to Haunted Nights for you know, hosting your events. I will definitely link them down below as well. Check out their YouTube video. It is not sponsored. This video is not sponsored by them, so just saying. But I will, you know, I do have a couple of locations with them, so let's you know, keep that in mind. But if you follow, definitely follow my Instagram. I have my personal as well as just the page Hauntingly Vintage. Find me on Instagram. I might give y'all some insight of, you know, what and where I'm going, but definitely will be coming up for spooky season in October, so be on the lookout for those 2 videos. Yes, I did say 2, because it will be 2 different locations. So in the meantime, so definitely be on the lookout for that video, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on post notifications, because I am trying to do better for you guys. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these and going to these places if I'm able to go. Even if I'm not able to go, I just love finding out the history of it. That's what makes a place to begin with, how they started, how it's going, if it is still actively in business, or if it had shut down for a specific reason, etc., etc. So I do find passion in this, and I hope y'all do too. I hope y'all are enjoying these videos, the ones that I have made, and just, yeah, please like, share, comment, subscribe. We've got 9 subscribers. Woohoo! But that number is going to be growing soon, I hope. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, so I be on the lookout for sure for that next video. But other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did, and as always, stay spooky and happy hauntings.